G'day mate and welcome to Satisfactory with me, JD. Today I want to cover trains. I want to cover everything about trains. It started off as a very short video, but starting to get longer and longer because we're going to be covering stations, ins, outs, advanced orders, all that sort of stuff. We're also going to be covering tracks, what's the shortest track, what's the longest track you can build, along with how to get good curves, how to get straight rail, because a lot of people ask me how do I get straight rail after I've gone through a curve, along with minimum angles you can turn, maximum angles you can turn. We're also going to be covering a couple of blueprints, a couple of important blueprints you might find helpful. Things like a whole train station, some raised rail, also how to make a spiral from a couple of blueprints. We'll also cover a few things like, as I said, signals, intersections, roundabouts, all that sort of stuff. So what I want to do is I want to ask a very important question before we get to today's video, and that is, can I borrow a like? I just like to borrow a like. I like to borrow a like early in the video. If you're not happy with the video, you didn't enjoy the video, means you can have your like back. In the meantime, can I just borrow it? The very first thing I want to jump through is the minimum and maximum length of tracks. It's just a good baseline to get us started. So first thing I'm going to do is pick up a piece of track, and I'm going to aim for, well, the edge of a 4-meter foundation. And if you can see, if I drag 4 meters, it's not going to be long enough, but if I drag it out to 1.5 foundations, i.e. 6 meters, it's now long enough that is the minimum length. But that is only because I'm building with the world grid. If I was building on a diagonal, well, that's 6 meters right there. It's not going to reach. Yeah, so you have a little bit of a problem. You need to go slightly longer. And that's going to always be your biggest issue. So I really, really recommend that unless you're building a temporary bit of track that you just need to connect into, which you're then going to be removing, go with at least a 2 foundation length, because that way it's going to work on any grid on the map. Okay, that's the very first thing we need to talk about. Second thing we need to talk about is maximum length. As you can see, I have some wonderful colored foundations here, and that is 4 tiles. That's another 4 tiles. That's another 4 tiles. That's another 12. And we can get to 12.5 tiles. So you really want to keep your train track length to a maximum of 12 tiles. That way you've got a little bit of slop if you happen to be off the world grid. And as for how to get to world grid, if you pick up a piece of foundation, aim it anywhere on the map and hold control, you should snap to the world grid. If you're already on a grid, well, that gives you an ability to do a little bit of a rotation, but that's a whole different story for a whole different video. So that's our minimum lengths covered. Next, we're going to jump into trains and schedules and train station really quickly, because it should be a fairly simple topic before we get to curves. So as you can see, I have a train running around in, well, a mess. It's a mess of track. None of it's on grid, none of it's organized well, but it's our working system. We can turn off self-driving, edit timetable, can I just clear everything and save changes. So to start with, we dropped out a train. We're the timetable. We need to pick our stations. I need to remember what our stations are called. So I have Nora Big, which is going to be our first station. Okay, after we go to Nora Pig, we want to go to, I hope it's that one second and that one third. I really hope so, because these tracks are a little bit weird. On top of that, we can click the the settings button right here, and we can set some settings. So we can say freight wagon is fully loaded or unloaded. So we can actually make the train hang around until it's fully loaded, or it's fully unloaded. So it'll actually sit in the station until it fully loads up before it leaves. Or we can say, hey, look, I just want you to load up, I don't know, alien DNA capsules, uranium, iron, whatever it happens to be, before you actually leave the station. Or we can set a wait for a set time. You can say fully loaded and change the wait to or whichever you decide. You can set it to or and set a very, very long time. So it just sits here until hopefully it's fully loaded. If you set this out to, 120 seconds, hopefully your train is fully loaded in that amount of time. The other option you have is once the load and unload has been completed, and set this number nice and low, 10 seconds, and hopefully it gets in, gets out very quickly. But yes, you can set a load and unload for each different train stop. So that's the first thing we need to cover. Second thing we need to cover very quickly is, well, with that menu back up and me actually saving the timetable, what were our station names? It was Nora Pig, and then you, and then if I click save, we can then turn on self-driving, and then the train will just do what the train needs to do, which is, i.e. pop into each station, to go through a load and unload cycle, and then leave. On top of that, we need to actually make sure your stations are set correctly. So once you set up a train, once you set up the station, you need to open the freight depot, which of course the train is now docking at and doing a whole lot of nothing because, well, There's nothing to load and unload. Can we go back into flight mode, please? Cool. All right, so in here, train station. Nope, that's the station itself. In here, the freight platform. You can set this to load or unload. It's very, very important that you set these settings around the right way. Otherwise, the train might not do what you want it to do. The other thing you can do is after the train has done a complete loop, you will get the incoming transfer rate and the outgoing transfer rate. So it'll actually tell you how many items you're moving per minute. Remember, if you're bringing in a belt that's moving 480, and this is not operating at 480, i.e., you know, we're having too many materials stack up here and the train's taking too long to get here, you may need a second train. Other thing you need to really remember is you're going to need some chests, because when the train is performing a loading and unloading schedule, well, the belts stop moving. The freight depot basically turns off because the train's doing a loading cycle, which means all your incoming belts or exiting belts stop moving. So you want to put a buffer on the outside so you can make sure that things keep moving, or at least have somewhere to store up before the train kicks back into action. Also means that technically, although your belts might be able to move 480 per minute, whilst the train's going through a loading and unloading cycle, you're not moving any materials. It's something you need to keep in mind. You are in this station. I'm going to look at the station train. You're not helping. You're not helping. Yeah, load, unload. No, the other one I want to look at is the actual station itself. So station itself, we can obviously change the name. We can also select the timetable, and I can at least hover to see where the other stations are. I can't rename them from here. I can open the train from here, edit its timetable, edit its name, turn it on and off self-driving, and do all that sort of stuff remotely from any station. The other thing you need to remember is when you click on a station, you can see how much power the train... You can see how much power is in the power network. As you can see, I have no power active because I have the advanced game mode settings on, which gives me a creative mode where we can run around, do things very quickly, and also do some quick tests and build some blueprints. But what we actually have here is our total power network. And as you can see, this would be connected into, well, our power network, so we can make sure we had power delivered into the train station and also into the train track. But it also means if I come to a different station, like this one here, it's also connected into the power network, which means I can I get that power pole, please? Thank you. No, power wire, please. No, wire. Thank you. Cool. I could take a power out of any train station and bring it back out to a machine or to a power pole and take it on from there. This is why I really recommend that you consider... You make sure that you remember that you can take power in and out of the train network, and it means that, yes, you can put down a temporary station if you need a temporary bit of power, make sure it's plugged in the track, and then just never send a train here. Just remember to rename it to something important, like, you know, don't use a station. Very, very good name. Yep. Then you also get a reminder across the front. Okay, so that's the first things we need to cover. Next thing I want to cover is good curves. So, inside Satisfactory, there are some rules when it comes to making curves and other things inside the game. And I'm going to start with, well, this little bit of track here. Now, if I want to get a curve from here to here, I can do that. As you can see, I'm starting on the middle point between two foundations. It's just the spot I've chosen to start. Whether you want to start on the edge of two foundations or whether you want to start in the middle is entirely up to you, but I've chosen to start here just to make this demonstration a little bit quicker, a little bit easier for you to visually see. And if I drag this out to here, you would assume that that's a perfect 90-degree angle, being that it's a 3x3, and technically that is now a perfect 90-degree angle if I drag it out here. Yeah, we can see it runs straight. It runs straight, it runs beautiful. But you may have also noticed that I can actually make that corner even sharper. I can bring it to here, but then we're no longer at a perfect 90. We're at it's still technically a perfect 90. It's just a little bit shorter, which then, as you can see, if I try and drag my track back, you know, in parallel to where it ended, I end up with a bit of curvy track. There are ways around this, and that's the first thing I want to show you. So if we put a bit of temporary track here, I can then go from here and plug into there, remove my bit of temporary track. We've moved over by not quite half a foundation, and now I can come on from here and we can go mostly straight. But if I hold control, we're guaranteed to go dead straight. It doesn't help if you're already started on a bit of a curve. So if I again remove that and I don't put a bit of guide rail there, and we aim for, well, that location as we were previously, and then I drag this on, Even though straight would be, well, as far as I want it to be, around about here somewhere, if I hold control, it's straight according to where you ended the track, which means that, yes, things were not going to line up. So what you want to definitely do if you're making any sort of curves is go 3 by 3 for a curve, or put a little bit of guide track on, start with your track, connect your track, remove your guide track, and then go forth from there. Also, same applies to if you want to go shorter, tighter, that sort of stuff. You can get down to a 3 by 2. In fact, technically the shortest is right about here. No, you're not going to do it for me. Turns too sharp. It's just over. That's right. It's technically the shortest is a 2.1 tick. Yeah. And there's that 8 ticks across the tile, or at least there used to be. Yeah, there's still 8 ticks across the tile. So it's 2 1/8 of a tile gives you technically a 90 degree. Yeah. I normally recommend you go with a 3 by 3 to get your 90 degree turns, and the main reason for that is, well, when it comes to 45s. So again, if I wanted to come out from here, and actually, can we just put, well, can we put you there to there, so we have a 90 degree to compare to, and I want to go here to here. If I want to get a 45, we need to be, well, actually, let's just put you in to start with. Yeah, and then let's hook in another one on top. 45 would be right about here. Okay, and if I remove that, we can then compare that with where it actually ends up, which is not on the corner, but it's diagonally out 1 tick. And that'll give us a 45 degree turn. Now, 45 degree turn we can do on a 3 by 3 grid. If you're going for a smaller, much smaller, 2.1 tick, there is no way you can get a 45 degree turn in here at all. It's just not possible. So this is why I really recommend a 3 by 3 grid for your turns. Also means you get in these 45s. 45 is going to be very helpful later on when you get into, well, junctions. Junctions are handy, interesting, whatever you want to call them, especially when it comes to different things like getting roundabouts. But roundabouts we'll leave for just a second. Next thing I need to talk about is a 180. So if you wish to build 180 degrees, can I build you out, and can I build you out? All right, we have a 3 by 6. So in theory, 180 degrees would be there to there, and the game is actually pretty generous now at making this clip together. But again, you can stop at your 3 by 3 and then do another 3 by 3, or if we just remove that really quickly and we go from here to here, we can see that that lines up exactly with, no, I need to do this in reverse. I need to do you to the halfway point, please, thank you. And then yeah, we can put that over the top. And as you can see, it goes straight over the top of the other one, which means they're both lined up. They're both perfect. They're both identical. There is a slight difference in radius, but as we can see with the decomp lineup, the radius is very, very small difference between 180 degree turn and 290s. Hence, I tend to put in 290s. It gives me more options in the future. By the same token, I can always remove a 180 and then put in 290s if I want to change it in the future. All right, next thing we need to talk about is probably T-junctions. Now, T-junctions come in many different shapes and sizes. We're going to start off with the bare basics, which is we get a bit of guide rail, we get another bit of guide rail, and then we need to well, have our opposing tracks, which are going to be let's have some colors. Let's have some colors so we can visually see things. Let's go with 3. Let's go with, no, that's the wrong 3. That's the right 3, and then you need to plug into there, so I need those ones lit up, and there's those ones lit up. Okay, so thank you. Wow. All right, we would need a bit of track here and a bit of guide track over here. But that brings us on to the next question: is what is your gauge? Okay, as you can see for this one, I have probably about a 4-meter foundation between my 2 tracks, which means I need to have my follow-up track. Am I more than 3 tiles? I'm not more than 3 tiles. Yeah. I have my follow-up track here, and I need to have my follow-up track here. All right, for a T-junction, T-junction, I need to have, this track plug into this track. That's nice and simple. You have this track plug into this track. Cool. That's also nice and simple. You have this track go all the way through. Also nice and simple. This track go all the way through. Also nice and simple. I need this track to plug into here. Technically works. 100% technically works. Also need to have this track plugged in here. Also technically works. Gives us a nice intersection, nice way to get started. And that's all technically functioning, technically working. But you have other options. You have many, many other options. The first option I love is if I get a 1.5. Come on, remove you. All right. Oh, 1.5 tile piece there, and then another 1.5 tile piece hit there. I can then have a 1.5 here. We get a 1.5. Actually, no, we'll leave that one for now. And then I can go from here to here, just as we had previously, and there to there. Okay, if I then do the same here, I get a 1.5 here, and a 1.5 there. No, there to there. It moves the junction up, and I forgot the straight. There we go. It moves the junction down a little bit. It moves the intersections down a little bit. It gives me what I believe is going to be a cleaner cut, but it also means that this track and this track are joining at slightly different places. Okay, something you need to keep in mind. All right, next thing we're going to talk about really quickly is signals. Signals are a little bit different inside Satisfactory compared to other games, and I think my best example with this is going to have a train moving around. Where is our train going? Our train's pulling in here, which means you're about to move on. Can I get a block signal? Block signal. Yeah, that should be fine. Can I put a block signal? Yeah. Alright, first thing. You're unhappy. Stop being unhappy. Block signal. Block signal. Block signal. Happy now? Cool. Alright, as you can see, whilst I'm holding a block signal in my hand, the train lights up with different colors. Each of the colors represents a block, and you want a train to live inside a block. Only one train can occupy any one block at a time. So if I want to have a train in this yellow section and a different train in this red section, I need to separate those two into two separate blocks. Also, we can see that the block signals have a little arrow on there. They indicate the direction of the rail and the direction of the track. If you want to have the block signal on the other side, you can use the scroll wheel on the mouse to move the signal to the other side of the track. Pause train, please. Okay. As you can see, and I'm probably even going to slow it down for you, as the train rolls past the signal, that's when they change color. Can I put another one right at the exit to the station for the best demonstration possible? Because the train is going really slowly. If I can get the signals to line up, there we go. All right. Please go. Cool. So, as the train takes off, it's going to take off very, very slowly. And what actually needs to happen is the train needs to roll past the signal for the signal to change in color. So the train's half the train has moved past the signal before it changes color, which means if you have two trains trying to enter the same block at the same time. So if I had a intersection here, which led to another station, I had two stations side by side with two sets of block signals. Can I drag that forward just a little bit and pop you other side of the track, please. Other side of the track, please. Other side of the track. There we go. All right. If I have two signals in front of two stations side by side and both trains are leaving at the same time, I am going to possibly end up with a small problem where the two trains decide to run into one another, which is generally pretty bad. So there is a way around this, and this is known as a path signal. So the difference between a block signal and a path signal is, let's go before an intersection. There we go. The difference between, you're going to complain. Block has conflicting entry signals. Yeah, because I'm entering from the other side as well. Bad example. Okay, can I put one here as well? You happy now? You're happy now. Perfect. Yeah, this bit of track is technically bi-directional. Yeah, we'll get back to that. All right, so pass signal. Pass signal, what it does is as the train passes the last block signal, so let's put a block signal here just to make sure we have one. After the train passes this block signal, before it gets to the next block signal, it'll actually do a query of a path signal to confirm that it can drive all the way through and pass the next block signal without any other trains getting in their way. So it means if you're leaving something like a train station, and you definitely don't want to end up with a situation where the train is rolling halfway past the signal before it changes color, you want to put in a pass signal. Now, the other problem you have with the pass signal is, even though the colors do change, and it does imply that you are reserving a area for the train, you're technically not divvying up, where is a signal? You're not technically divvying up this green and this purple section up from one another. You're divvying up the green and the pink from one another, but the green and the purple, along with the pink and the purple, well, the green and the purple are one section, the pink and the purple are also another section. Yes, the trains will stop at the division between these two, and they'll also stop at the division between these two, but they're really looking to make it all the way through the whole purple section in one hit and into the orange section. Now, it also means that, yes, before every intersection, you should be putting in a pass signal, and that's basically the rule of thumb. Pass signal beforehand, and then, well, that's another path, which is unfortunate. Another block signal, come on, right there, afterwards. So, path before, block after, that is the main rule, and the other sub-rule is if you have two trains that are doing any sort of merge in the future, and even though they're in theory going very, very slowly, and you could use block signals in other games in Satisfactory, if you want to make sure that they do that reservation and they make sure that you have no chance of two trains running into one another, you need to use a pass signal. Also means that until they complete that query of the next signal and the track ahead, they're going to start to slow down for the pass signal. Won't matter right here from an exit from a train station, but if you have a large downhill slope and they're entering into a junction, you need to have a significant gap between your last block signal and your pass signal to make sure that the the train has time to do that next query. So, I hope that explains paths and blocks. All right, next thing I want to do to make whole path and block signal conversation a whole lot easier. Let's start off with something simple, like a small train junction. So we pop down this monster here. It's much larger. If you're running out of tighter rail segments or rail gauge, you can pop down a wonderful blueprint is provided by me. You can find all my blueprints over at Discord, which is a very, very small, very, very tight junction, and then just throw in the extra bits of track as required. This is built in the blueprint manager, and all you need to do is, well, download the blueprint, put it inside your Satisfactory folder, and away you go. You can hook this up to your train network any way, shape, or form, and then add the signals afterwards, if you're happy to add the signals. Your other option is, under blueprints, I also have, well, a over-the-top, nice, simple, maximum size. Well, we'll go with the maximum size. The maximum size I could fit inside the Mark III blueprint machine, but that's okay because you use it any save. Maximum size junction, same as I built over here, but this comes pre-signaled, ready to go. And the only thing you have to do, well, you can do, is you can remove these two bits of starter rail off the end. Everything else is required, and then plug in your network as required. It is going to have errors until you plug that. Okay, can I go? Just give me some sort of loop game, please. Done. As soon as I connect those two together, they're going to be happy. Same would apply to all the other ones, because block has no exit signal. Yeah, it sort of goes to nowhere. It's fine. It's fine. But as soon as you have an exit of some sort, even if it loops back onto itself, it's perfectly fine, perfectly ready to go. This has the pass signals and the block signals on the correct side of the track. In saying that, this is designed for left-hand drive. You will find a composite blueprint inside my blueprints folder for right-hand drive. Speaking of blueprints, I have another couple that I'd like to show you, and this is how I've been doing blueprints on my save. So we have the power towers, the power tower platforms, and these are really, really handy, really, really high. They get you up off the ground. And can I just get my power wire? And we can drag these very, very easily from point A to point B to make sure that we can move power around the map. Except building tracks on the ground is painful. Very, very painful. 100% worst thing in the world. Also, putting down a whole lot of foundation all over the map to build a train network is time consuming. I was looking for a good compromise, some way I could get tracks across the map quickly and easily without having to go through the hassle of paving the whole world in foundations or trying to deal with putting tracks on natural terrain. So I went with a slightly different option. The different option being, well, rail tower. Let's go with a rail tower. Yep, nice simple rail tower. Comes with a rail tower, ready for you to, climb up, run up. Land. There we go. Climb up, run up. You can explore, you can run around, and comes with 2 bits of rail connected and a signal ready to go. They're block signals because these are designed for your main track lines, and all you need to remember is around about 12 foundations. About there somewhere is your maximum reach, which means when you get to your maximum reach, you have 2 choices. You can either put down another rail tower with signals. You could also put down a rail tower without signals, like so. And can you just walk in? And then we can just plug in the tracks like so. 1 and 2. Because this does not have any signals, it's just a single piece of track, so it's technically a little bit shorter than this version. And at the same time, I don't have power on my hotbar. Can I put you as number 6, please? Oh, that was 5. It's fine. 6, okay. 5. There we go. Power line from there to there. As you hook up the power network is probably a little redundant if you have the train tracks there, but I think it's a nice feature. Also at the same time, blueprints, we have the narrow rail tower. So again, if you're running around and you're looking for a way to move through a little bit more of a narrow terrain, there's a slightly narrower version, slightly simpler version, and you can pop that in. It's just move the tracks a little bit lower. Also means that if we hook up our wires, and I get a choo-choo train, electric locomotive, you will see it just sits below the pylons. Sure, if you're going down a hill, uphill, yeah, you might end up with a situation where the wires sort of skim through your train. But of course, the trains run on electric. How else are they going to get power? Continuing on the blueprint one, we also have floaty rails. Floaty rails is your last option, and this is, well, all the rail infrastructure at the correct height without any of the power towers. So this is designed that you can just plug into, and it comes with some foundation, because if you want to snap this to the world grid like the other ones, you needed some foundation for it to lock onto. These, if you put down some foundation first, you can then lock them on top. This, of course, needs something for it to lock onto as the tracks are sort of floating in midair. But this is a perfect example of something you can then deconstruct afterwards. And the idea behind this one is, if you want to have your own architecture, your own custom supports, you can... I can't put the beam on there. No. I need to do big pillar support. That's the one. Big pillar support on top. Big pillar support on bottom. Big on top. And then can I get a big metal pillar? Zoop, please. Zoop that down to about there. And then drop a support. Okay, too low. There we go. It's designed so you can drop down some pillars and get this supported if that's the way you wish to build. Or if you wish to have floaty rails, that's entirely up to you. Last thing I want to talk about is trying to get up and down large pieces of terrain. As you can see, I've chosen to build out on the edge of the map. And of course, there's a giant cliff range between me and the rest of the map. So the easiest way to get up here is I could build a bunch of tracks going, well, especially with the power towers, going up and over the terrain very carefully, very easily. I might end up with a little bit of a roller coaster ride. My other option is a spiral. Consequently, I have put together a quarter spiral. So if you want to have a quarter spiral, you dump down one section, you then rotate it around twice, and you aim your mouse over here, line up the pillar in the middle, like so, and then rotate around again, line up on this block here, which is just there, so you have something to aim the mouse at, and spin again, and there. And as you can see, I have built the probably one of the most annoying structures inside the game in a couple of seconds. And all we need to do is connect one quarter to the next quarter, to the next quarter, to the next quarter. Oh, that one doesn't have a quarter to connect to. You go to there, you come there. It comes with signals pre-done. And once you've got your spiral to your correct height, you just remove these extra foundations that were literally here just for you to put your mouse on. You might want to leave the top ones in case you decide you want to go higher, you want to go shorter. And these are already put on a 1 meter platform, to make sure that they're curving at the right angle. And I have no idea where they're floating because they were not floating in. Oh, that's now not floating. Yeah, welcome to Satisfactory, where even though you're using a blueprint that's identical, sometimes it works fine, other times it decides that it's gonna have things float for reasons. I'm sure there's a logical reason. So this is my spiral. It goes up and down. Maybe you'll find the finalized version has that fixed. If not, put it into a blueprint, manage it yourself, and get the rails dropped down. But yes, this is my wonderful spiral. And last thing I need to talk about is, well, intersection. So normally the rules are what has power? That has power. Can we just get a little bit of track to come off here? Thank you. And come out to here. So the normal rules inside Satisfactory is we can have a track split into 2 tracks. You can technically go into 3, but you definitely can't go into 4 or 5. You also can I start out here, please, and go. Can't go many into many. You can go 1 into 3. 1 into 3 is sort of the maximum amount, but it turns out that's slightly changed in update number 1. In update number 1, if I aim the track here and I press the H button to lock the hologram to where it is, I can then have 5 tracks, or 6 tracks, or 7 tracks. I could also aim the hologram at the other end, which was red, and bring it out this way. And I can have a many into many intersection, which was never possible before now. But with this small change, it now means that I can have a situation where I can have an awful lot of tracks passing an awful lot of tracks. If I just start again, a little bit of track, put in that there, and put in that there. You can see that the game automatically puts in a switch. To saying which way you're going to go. What a train would go. Is that long enough? It would be long enough. Oh yeah. And can I get a locomotive? And we'll pop you in there. Okay. If we're on the locomotive and we press left to right, we can change which way this signal, or which way the switching system is going to take us. But if I take my locomotive and please fly. Okay, if I put my electric locomotive here and we look at this switching bar you cannot see. It just displays nothing. This switching bar is the back of the switching bar, and again, this one displays nothing. But if I jump my train, let's go far right to start with, and I say forward. We're on the far right track. If I back this up, we press left one, and I go forward again, we can now come out on this piece of track. So all the tracks are perfectly aligned, they're perfectly connected, and that means that we have the advantage of a new system. New system means we can make roundabouts. Always been able to make roundabouts, but they need to be fairly large in size. Now we can definitely cut them down in size. A lot of people prefer having a roundabout rather than a T-junction because they're just a little bit easier to work with. So, to do a roundabout, we're going to have you. Can I have you, please? And then can I have you get colored as well? And then you colored as well. All right, to have a roundabout. Obviously, I need to have some track to start with. Can I grab some track? We're going to come in. Actually, we're going to start from here. No, I'm going to run a bit of straight track to get started. And I'm also going to... we're gonna remove you. We're gonna track. Yeah, can I go? We're gonna make this a little bit bigger than I need to, but we're going to make sure that it's easy to replicate. Doesn't matter what size grid you're on. So 3 by 3. We're going to come out to not this join here, but out one. Okay, as we did before, so it gives us a nice perfect 45-degree turn. Remove that guide. We're going to come back out. We're going to put in another guide rail from here this direction. Okay, with a new guide rail in, we're going to come to this point, slide out one, and go there and there. Go. Next one is another bit of guide rail, which is going to go there to there, and then we're going to go and we're going to stop here. We're going to slide out one, and then into there. Cool. And then we need to remove our last two, and put this here, out one, and then into there. Cool. That gives us our many short turns, and then from there we can have this bit come out to there, and that is not quite straight. Okay, if you're not going to be not quite straight, can I put in a bit of guide rail first so we can have something to attach to, and then we're going to go into there. Cool. Next one is going to come out from here, bit of guide rail, nothing too special, and then into this section. Now from here I need to come out to here would be the preference, along with here would be my second preference, but the game won't let me connect. But if I start from this end, press the H button, as you can see it lights up. Here is dead easy because it's our first connection in. Second connection, we're going to have to use that H trick again to build you out, and wrong tile, there to there, and H, and H. Oh, well, that one goes in dead easy. You can go to here, and you can go to here. You are not happy, but as soon as I hit the connection, if I press H, works fine. Same goes here. And then with all this done, all I need to do is same principles as before. We need to have a block signal on the way out. So if we're doing right-hand drive, it's very hard to see that arrow. Block signal on the way out, pass signal on the way in. So this would be pass signal. This would be an exit. So this would be a block signal. This would be an entrance, which means pass signal. This would be an exit, which means block signal. This would be an entrance, pass signal on the outside, please. Come on. Yeah, over here. Over here. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Over. You've definitely got a connection. You've definitely got a cut right there. You just... Yep, that side. That game. Yeah, I feel it. Okay. E to say pass. And then over here, we would have a block. And over here, we'd have a path. And that becomes our whole intersection. And can I just get you to connect? Come on. I know it turns too sharply. I just need the ends to touch one another so we can get some different colors for a little bit more readability. You go to here, go to here. You can see how quickly trains can get out of train tracks can get out of control and become a mess. But there to there to there, and then our last one. That one has power. Cool. And then one more signal right here. And all my signals are happy. We have an orange roundabout, green, lime, yellow, and red on the outside. You will have visual bugs like this, where it looks like there's just nothing here, and that's normally just because there's a join between two tracks. It is a visual bug. If you're worried about it, by all means, remove both pieces of track and make them one section. Also, remember that wherever you put a signal on the track, will automatically split it into two bits of track. So as you can see now, if I'm trying to deconstruct things, these will become two separate pieces. Can be helpful if you're trying to go over natural terrain. More importantly, if I grab you and I say electrical logo, and I put you there, right-hand drive, other side of the road. Cool. If I put you there, you're going to have a don't exit sign because you're going to be blocking things. Also means if I come around to here, you're going to have a don't enter sign because this train is about to enter into the intersection, so it's also still facing the wrong way. Electric. There we go. Face that way. Cool. Okay, go block signal and put it behind you. There you go. Alright, so now you're in your own separate blocks. Yes, you have a don't enter, whereas you have an okay to exit because there's another block signal over there. And yes, it means my train can go through. But you might notice that our switches work on one side and also work on the other. Yep. And again, this is just a, well, 2 and a 2. It's a many and a many, which was not allowed prior to, well, the 1.0. So this is how you build a roundabout. This is how you build a T-junction with a blueprint. Well, with a blueprint or with a blueprint with signals. Well, with signals. These are the other blueprints I'm throwing in the collection, along with probably the one I use the most often, which is just a 1-2 train station. Nice and simple. Dump that down. That's my train station built, configured, ready to go. All I need to do is name it and set it, whether it's going to be a load or an unload station, and away we go. Anyway, with all that said and done, I hope this little quick tutorial was very, very helpful. I also hope you find the blueprints very helpful in your train building adventures. And yes, definitely remember the number one buttons being, if you can't get 2 bits of track to connect, try pressing H first. As long as the train drives on it, everything is fine. And the number one goal, the number one rule is pass signal before an intersection, a block signal afterwards. That's it. With all that said and done, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed. Hit subscribe if you'd like to see more Satisfactory videos in the future. And with all that said and done, I'll see you in, well, the very next video.